What's up, guys? Welcome to a special kind of in between the week episode of the Bootcast podcast. Got me, Justin, better known as Texas Cleat Collector, here with my co-host Colby. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's good to be back.
Yeah, man. It's already episode 2 in
I know
less than a week.
Things are moving quickly, dude.
Dude,
Things
we've
are
got to
moving
be on
quickly.
it.
New year, new
I told
you.
you. Yeah, new year, new me, new goals. Same shitty hair, but we move on.
Yeah,
it's okay.
we go forward. So.
Yeah, exactly. How was your week, man? Tell me about your week a little bit.
It was good, bro. My kids take a break from practice, so I get to take them out every day. And
Nice.
I get to kick with them, which is like one of my favorite things to do. I also like to buy them, matching boots with me. Whatever
I
I'm
do the same
wearing,
thing.
I usually buy them that pair. Because I'm like, look, I don't want you to feel left out, so I'm gonna buy you a. Yeah.
Yeah. My oldest son, we're the same way, and he's very like, why aren't you wearing the same boots as me? And I'm like, because I'm trying out new stuff, and I've spent too much money, and I've got to wear them.
Gotta wear.
But okay. So today, the topic I wanted to address, because I've talked to other creators and other people that have done podcasts. I'm always like, you should build like your ultimate boot, like your Franken boot. That's what I like to call it. So today we're gonna go through our ultimate Franken boots. Sound good?
That sounds good, dude.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the rules are basically there are no rules. You can be as detail oriented as you want. You can be as specific as you want. You can be as broad as you want. Like if you saw the perfect boot, you're like, oh yeah, I don't know, Superfly floor. That's my perfect boot, and then cool, you can have that and be boring. But I feel like as boot enthusiasts as we are, I feel like we're gonna have some pretty strange boots and very like different boots.
No, while I was creating this, man, I went through just so many different boots that I had worn, and I was like, oh, dude, I like that. Oh, I like that. It's just, it gets you thinking, and then you almost want to, I don't know, I want to trademark some of these if we can. I mean, if this comes out, like we gotta get the patent on one of these things.
I would agree. The only problem is half of my boots are like Adidas and half is Nike, so I don't know who's gonna pay me my money.
Skechers.
Because Nike by you is kind of limited, and then my Adidas is just gone. They just gave up. They're like, yeah, we're done with this. Okay, so let's start out. Let's start out with the sole plate. Give me what sole plate you went with.
I went with the Mizuno Rebula Cup sole plate, and if you have, okay, and it's great boot. The Mizuno Rebula Cup, just incredible. I made a huge mistake with those boots where I ordered them in a half size down because at the time I never had a Mizuno pair of boots before. And everybody was like, you got to go half size down. It's K-leather. It's going to mold right to your foot. And one of my toenails ended up falling off because I bought them too small.
Oh, nice.
So I had to sell them.
Of course you did.
And I was like, I'm not going to spend $300 on another pair just to get that half size up. I'm just going to let that one go. But the sole plate on those was incredible. If you wore those, it's... And I'll pull up a picture here for the viewers, but it's almost like you have some conical, but they're kind of ovally shaped. So it actually gives you like such good traction on the ground. And then when you put them on and you wear them on grass, it feels almost like you're wearing like a more flexible shoe. Like I wouldn't say the sole plate is super flexible, but when you're walking on the grass outside, you're like, dude, I feel like I'm in like a pair of shoes right now. This is because a lot of sole plates, when you put them on, you're clearly in a pair of boots. Like you're, it's stiff, it's rigid. Like you're walking over. It doesn't feel the same way. And those somehow just nailed it. Like that's one of the best, I think, sole plates that Mizuno's come out with.
It's interesting that you picked that boot because that's one of those Mizuno boots that's kind of like I call it the Great White Buffalo from Hot Tub Time Machine, but it's the one that got away. It's the one I was always like, oh, I really like, I want to try those, and I just can't justify that at the time, and then now you just can't find them. Like or if you do, they're just beat to hell on eBay.
Yeah, and funny enough, those came off of, I want to say, the Mizuno Rebula 3s, where they put the Runbird. It's just in a terrible spot. Like it was everybody hailed it as a great boot. The Mizuno Rebula 3 was Rebula 3 that was called. Anyways, but it was ugly. Like I'll be straight up. It was an ugly boot. I was never gonna wear that thing. So when they came out with the Rebula Cup, I was like, oh, that's really nice aesthetically. It had some like nice white bases. Like it was really good looking boot. I like what they did with the It's kind of similar to what they do with the Copapure now, where they kind of have like a ribbed kind of traction like thing on the inside, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a solid boot.
Okay. And when would you like, were the studs short? Were they longer? Like, did you get a lot of grip out of that boot? Because I'd never tried it.
The studs weren't too long, and you did get a decent amount of grip. You can go back and watch videos, but like it really did give you some good traction, and it would kind of mess me up in my dribbling sometimes, actually. But that could also be because I was wearing them half size too small, and my toenail fell off. But
yeah, they hurt.
They really did.
Okay, so mine is per usual. I live up to my name, but a really kind of, I don't think people are gonna like this pick per se, but I went with the 2015 Addy Zero sole plate. So the one that kind of had like a lot of the short spikes, almost like down in the spine. It had, I think, 3 heel studs, and it looked aggressive, but it was a really almost shallow sole plate, and it was super comfortable for me. Like, I just liked how that sole plate felt. It felt like aggressive enough, but also stable enough. And I know the whole like 2 studs in the rear, like with the Vapor 8, people are like, no, this is too much. I feel uneven. And people are weird about the 3 studs, but I think having the 2 studs in the back with that center stud in the middle, that was a little bit just for stability. That it was just a really comfortable sole plate. I didn't keep those boots for a super long time for other reasons, but that sole plate just felt good. And then to mix in with that sole plate, just because I love the aesthetic of it, I would give it the Superfly 4 carbon fiber.
Oh man, that's a good detail.
See,
that's a good detail.
I don't.
Yes.
I mean, I know like the carbon fiber is like very minimal or whatever, but it just looks cool. That's a cool looking sole plate.
It is, man. It is. Like going back to the carbon fiber thing, right? Like, because I know that Adidas more recently, right? They had it in their boots in the Speed Portal, I think, and then halfway through that generation, they phased it out. They took it out because they said it, it was like a minimal thing, but a cost issue. But the carbon fiber to me is just. It's just the top tier. Like, it might just do a little bit more than a really hard plastic sole plate, but it just puts that quality at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's known as such a premium material, and it looks it looks cool, and it is a higher end. We'll have another episode where we talk about gimmicks, because I think that shank in the Speed Portal is total farce. But I understand what you mean. Like, it's a good looking material, and I just think that I want it on my boot, so I put it on my boot.
Yeah, if you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? It's my boot, right? Okay, so the next category I picked was the fit and the last, and I just kind of did it based on sizing, and I feel like what fits my foot kind of evenly, and I went with the Phantom GX. I just think that boot, I don't know if maybe it's because of the upper, but it size-wise fit really well. I never had any hot spots. I've told people that I have kind of a narrowish to normal foot with a high arch, and that fit of that boot, like, to me, that's like a slipper. Like, my foot just slipped right in, no issues.
That's a good point. I actually hadn't thought of the fit in the last, and thinking about what your foot would actually work the best in, because I know that GX last like has more of a narrow toe, right? So I would actually counter you and say, which is something kind of close,
okay,
but the Tequila last, right? Just because
the V4,
yeah, the V4 Pro.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah. You've ranted about that boot for a while. And that's one I know I need to try. Just because you talk about it so much. I need to try that boot.
Yeah. I think they'll... So, with that boot in particular, not to go off on a tangent here, I know we're building the Frankenboot, but they will... The next generation I'm very excited for, and I have a feeling they'll really upgrade that sole plate. I know we just got finished talking about sole plates, but I have a feeling they're going to make it more snappy and probably stick with the conicals, but that could be for another episode as well.
Do you think, well, just while we're on it, do you think they'll keep that lacrosse style sole plate? Do you think people have bought into that, or they might just kind of throw it by the wayside?
I think they might throw it by the wayside. I don't think, that was a great idea. It's the whole market the whole marketing behind that boot in particular is to try to differentiate itself from something like a Phantom GX or something like a Predator, where they really want to be unique and make their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I play in it, I do feel like I get a little bit more push off. It's not something that you're going to notice until you are playing in a match. Like, oh, kind of, pushed away pretty quickly from that lacrosse style sole plate. But yeah, it's a good boot. I think it might be a little too flexible. In the sole plate, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how the GX is too. I know. If people have one gripe about the GX, it's the sole plate's way too flexible.
Yeah.
So
your foot's doing a lot of work.
Oh yeah, and I feel like if you like that feeling, that boot actually works well. If you like, almost playing barefoot, it feels like the bottom of your feet are kind of on the ground, which some people like. Not personally, but
if you have strong feet, you wouldn't mind it. And that's a topic for another time. But like, the more flexible your boot is, the more work you're going to be doing so much more work at your foot and ankle. And like, the more snappy it is, you'll probably feel it more at your knees. But
yeah, true.
We'll have an anatomy lesson someday.
I'm not a doctor. I know it just goes right over.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of give me what, I guess, shape, upper, whatever you went with for the upper. Like, what boot did you kind of almost revolve your boot around?
Okay, let me see. You know what? I, looking back, loved the Tiempo Legend 8 with the quad fit. And I know a lot of people at the time said, I don't like this boot. It's not a traditional Tiempo K-leather boot. I have a hard time feeling the ball because the quad fit's in the way. But that quad fit was actually incredible. You had very pingy passes in it. So I would almost model my upper with like maybe a hybrid touch going over quad fit, at least in the midfoot.
So you would do a synthetic leather instead of true leather on top of the quad fit?
At the midfoot, I would do a hybrid touch. If that's possible, because I remember that being a topic of discussion when the Tiempo Legend 8 was out. Why did the quad fit's really nice if you could just leave that at the midfoot and then leave the toe to a kangaroo leather.
Okay.
Yeah. So midfoot, you have quad fit. On top of that, you have hybrid touch. At the toe, K leather.
And so would you split the toe off almost like how the like the Speed Portal 99 leather, like a toe cap like that?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. Okay, keep going. Tell me some more about your boot. I want to hear about your boot.
Yeah. Okay. So like that's essentially like the main thing is I think that, and I want to say that the quad fit boots were out in 2019 because they had them on the Phantom model then, and they had them on the Tiempo Legend 8, and here we are in 2024. And I feel like, not that we're going backwards, because we're definitely coming up with new technologies and things that are trying to simulate leather. We're trying to simulate some other things, some rubber elements, whatever. But I think we peaked. I think boot technology in terms of being, I don't want to say fair, unfair, because of the grip elements you get with the new Predators and on some other boots, you know, make it a bit easier to grip. But that quad fit, man, when you were running and your foot came in contact with the side of your boot, you really felt secure, and it just felt like you could cut, you could go, you could do a lot of things that you can't do in a boot that's unsupported.
Okay.
Like you couldn't do that in a Copa Mundial. Like there's no support. No, it's just floppy leather sock, which is, it's a comfortable sock, but
yeah. And I mean, again, it's comparing apples to oranges. You know, Copa. Yeah, they're both leather, but
yeah, I'm just saying that's kind of how far you would come.
For sure. Why do you think that quad fit didn't catch on? Because you know the Phantom, what was it, the Vision 1 and 2, it didn't catch on, and then with the Tiempo, everybody said it's not. To them, I always heard the complaint was that the Legend 8 was over-engineered. It was too much, you know, compared to what the 7 and then the 9.
I think that the value and the amount of technology you got in the Legend 8 and the price you paid for it far exceeds what the Tiempo is now. And I know that I don't want to be like the anti-Tiempo guy. I've been a Tiempo guy my entire life. That was like my main boot. So maybe that's just means so much to me in terms of what they've done with it. But I will say, like, the reason a lot of players didn't like the Phantom Vision was because it looked like American football cleat.
Yep.
And that, like, even when you'd see a player like Kevin De Bruyne wearing them, it was like, what is that? You know what I mean? It was a little bit jarring. And I think what they've done now with the Phantom GX, and especially now the Phantom GX2, is they've really brought it down to look more like a traditional like soccer, football style boot. And I think that was the biggest problem. I think if you put quad fit in like this new Phantom, people might actually really like it. I think they feel a bit more supported. I think we've gone from sock boot to barefoot feel a little bit. In this that's kind of what the new trend is right now. In quad fit, it's not quite barefoot. Like you're going to have a layer in between what you're going to feel. And that Tiempo Legend 8 was kind of the downfall of the quad fit as well, because so many people complained and said, don't mess with my Tiempo. I just want a good, nice leather touch on the ball. And when you put that layer in between me and the ball, it's hard for me to get that same feeling. Like it becomes a different boot. So,
I mean, it's interesting that you say that too, just with that last statement, because I know that the Legend 8 has like a super thin leather upper. So if you take like almost like the pillowy quad fit, and then you just put thin leather over it, wouldn't it be almost the same as if they just put a thicker leather?
Maybe, but it's almost more about, with quad fit, right? It's more about support. It's more about the support that you're getting from when you're running. And so if you put like a thicker leather on there, it's the whole idea was when you push against like the side of the boot wall, it's going to push back against you.
Okay.
And so I guess to your point, like when they put that thin leather over the quad fit, and it was really nice, and it was like, what's the point of even doing that? Because I can't feel it. And people would say that I almost felt like there was a separation between what the leather is doing and what my actual foot is doing, which I never really experienced that. My only gripe was maybe that I couldn't feel the ball as well, but I would take that over the feeling of being incredibly secure when I was playing. So I would think that would kind of differentiate it from putting that thicker leather on top of it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, I mean, I haven't tried the 8. I've been kind of back and forth with it, but it is a boot that I want to try, or even as ugly as they are, like the Vision series, just because I want to see what the hype around quad fit is. You know, because at the time when Knit came out, like think about Flyknit when it first came out, like everybody was like, I don't even know what this feels like. So I have no frame of reference for quad fit, so I do need to try those out. Like I know I need to try them out.
I'm going to go on another tangent here, and I apologize.
Go for it. That's what this is for.
Even the generation before the Tiempo Legend 8, right, was the Tiempo Legend 7.
The 7.
And what they did with that was they actually put I'm not sure if it was like was it Flyknit cables? And so when you laced up your boots, there was cables going through the sides, and it would actually tighten the boot up. So it almost gave you a little bit more security in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
And then with the 9, they were just like, whatever. Like which I love the 9. It's a good boot as well, but those elements just kind of went away, and that security I feel like went away, and now we've got a synthetic leather where it doesn't stretch as much, and that's what gives you that feeling of security and responsiveness.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that answer. Okay, with your lacing, would you do same thing as the Legend 8, like straight down the center? Would you push it off to the instep, to the outstep? Do
Center,
you care?
Center.
Okay, okay.
Traditional.
And then okay, so you have the hybrid touch midfoot. You have the leather toe box. What do you have on top of that? Anything, or are you basically upgrading your Legend 8?
I'm basically upgrading my Legend 8.
Okay.
Now that you mention it, that's exactly what this is.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes there are boots that we absolutely love and adore, and it's like if we could just tweak this little bit, it might be the perfect boot.
I think sometimes when you innovate as a company and you don't get the feedback that you're looking for, when you put something like that out and you're like, oh man, people are going to love this. This is so innovative and technologically forward. And everybody's like, oh no, I don't, give me the old one. They just completely steer away from that. And, they'll either go backwards or kind of land where we are now, where it's like, okay, here's this cheaper, most likely material to make. But let's go back to enough about me, man. Let's go back to your boot.
Okay, so my boot I was trying to think about like how I would want the upper to kind of look in a way, and I came up with the Techcraft Hypervenom 3. So you know how like the instep, it was kind of all leather and then it went into the Flynet. So I kind of used some of that. So I want that specific Nike Allegria, however you say that word.
Yes.
I want that leather, the Legend 9 Monteballunas, the Techcraft one. I want that super soft upper, and I want it from the midfoot, and I want to wrap it all the way around past my pinky toe. So I want it to be the primary part.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I want a lot of leather. And then on the other part, similar to you, I want Hybrid Touch. I like Hybrid Touch over Kangalite. I mean, they're kind of similar.
Hybrid Touch is better, in my opinion.
And I want, it's funny that you said it too, because I want the Hybrid Touch 1.0, not the new one that's on the Predator 30.
You want the one from the...
Like the LZ1,
yes.
The 2014 Addy Zeros. Like, it was a bit thicker, so a little bit more pillowy. So I feel like going from a leather into that material is a lot more seamless for me.
Right. I will say, though, with the Allegria leather, if it is left untreated, you're going to need some leather cream for your boots. Because
yeah,
you get those out on a wet day, dude, they're going to be all stained and grainy.
I'll have black leather. How about that?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
there we go. Okay,
so the classic Techcraft, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So just super simple, okay? Then I want it to be the part that I thought would be interesting for this boot is I wanted it to be crazy amount of flywire like the Legend 4 Elite had and the Superfly 3. Like I want the sides, everything like ultra supported. Cuz I don't want that boot stretching out at all. And similar to the quad fit for you, I just want to feel like locked in, even if it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, agreed. There's something about have we lost that that supported locked in feel a little bit in these more modern boots, or is it just engineered in different ways?
I would say it's engineered in different ways.
Because like you said, it used to be like the fly wire or the quad. The whole idea being, we're going to give you so much support surrounding your foot that you're not going to need to. You're never going to feel like the boot's not responsive, like it's sloppy, like it's like that classic leather.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's almost like what these things surrounding your foot before are what the actual material does now, where they found ways to kind of just put things in the right places.
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, with what we were talking about with ingenuity, I think that they figured out a way to make the liners some sort of almost do that work so they don't have to add that extra material like the Flywire, the Brio cables. You know, you look at the, what is it, the Vapor 15? And, you know, they use that, what is it, that Roman sandal as their base or whatever. And it's just a super thin cutout layer, almost like the Crazy Fast Plus. And you don't need cables anymore. But I like the look of the cables. I think they worked better.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, the cables did have like this really nice aesthetic look to them.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that if you look at the profile of like a Superfly 4 especially, that's a sharp looking boot with just those thick bands running down the side. And then so okay, here's where I'm going to lose people though. So on top of that soft Allegria leather too, I want rubber elements, and I want a big rubber element like T90 Laser 4 style, Predator Edge style. Like I want some thick rubber on this. Not T90 Laser 3 because that'll cover the whole leather. But I want rubber on my boots.
All right, man.
Yeah, I know.
You need all the help you can get. Apparently,
I do.
That boot needs to
I'm
stick.
a dad, man. It's not me. It's the boots. That's what I say. It's not me. It's the boots.
There's no time to get good. I just need my rubber elements.
Yeah, I'm always changing these, so I'm only gonna wear them like what 2 games, and then they're gone. My ultimate boot gone. And then the last bit of the upper, I want a leather fold over tongue, but I want it to have continued rubber elements like the Predator 30 does.
Okay.
So nothing too crazy right there, but that's what I want.
I feel like I see your boot now. So you're taking, at least on the upper side of it with the fold over tongue, a lot of elements just from the new 30, because you want the rubber on the boot, top of the boot, right? But you also want it on the tongue. I'm assuming this is a U-throat tongue because I have no idea how you do a fold over that wasn't a U-throat.
Oh yeah, it'd have to be U-throat.
Which we didn't really talk about this because I was going to ask you if you were going to go U-throat or like a traditional like knit or traditional. It's not traditional anymore.
It's traditional now for younger people. That's what they're used to.
Yeah. U-throat probably looks archaic, but
yeah,
I would actually go knit. I would go knit collar because I feel like, and it wouldn't be as high as some of the like mid cuts. It'd be kind of like a low cut collar.
Okay.
Just something about the tongue moving around nowadays. Even with the most recent Copapiers I have, not the elite model, not the plus. It's just, I almost just push it over to the side because I get tired of it. If it kind of shifts around on the center, I push it over to the outer edges of the boot. So I'd go knit collar. And then in terms of heel, have we talked about kind of like the back heel?
No. Tell me what you have in mind because I overlooked that. I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
I wasn't even sure if this was. I mean, nothing is impossible in this, hypothetical situation of the episode we have right now. But the Tampa Legend 9 heel, I felt was perfect.
Okay.
Maybe even something like Legend 7, because something about Nike is they have lockdown perfect. Any Nike boot you get, you put your foot in, and all the air almost gets sucked out. And it's just they have just incredible heels. So I would go.
Are you a fan? I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you a fan of this new heel that they're doing, like the cutout U style? I think they did it on the GX. I think they've done it on the Tiempo 10. The Luna, I think, has it. I'm sure the Vapor will get it. Are you indifferent?
I'm indifferent. It's something I haven't really thought about or really noticed. I just feel like anytime I put on a Nike boot, it just works. Like whatever what do they end up doing, it just works. Adidas, I've had more problems with. I've had probably better lockdown on New Balance recently than Adidas, but from what you've told me about the 30 though, Predator 30, I'm excited to try those. I'm hoping that those give me some good lockdown.
Yeah, for sure. So see, I'm kind of the opposite. But again, I have a normal foot, so a lot of things tend to fit me super well. Like, I know we talk about, when we watch Noah's videos, he talks about how he has a thin heel, so he always feels rotational. And in his newest play test of the 30 with the U-throat tongue, he was saying that, I still feel like my heel kind of slips side to side. And for me, with the 30, with the tongue, I don't even use the last lace hole, and I still experience no movement. Now, maybe it's because I'm not training as hard as him, or maybe it just doesn't bother me the same as him. I tend to wear True Socks or Storelli grip sock, whatever grip sock. But I'm kind of the opposite. I like the best heel I've had lately though is the Speed Portal, the leather Speed Portal. Whatever Adidas did with that heel, it just fits perfectly for my foot. So I like that one. I'll pick that one.
Which is funny because that's that was almost going back to a traditional type of U-throat leather boot. Like it just works, guys. Just stick with that works. So,
okay, so I guess let's see. You'll do laces though, right? You wouldn't do laceless. You're not a laceless. Absolutely.
That's not even a question.
Okay, I just gotta ask, our viewers. Okay, so talk to me about how you want this boot to look. Like, if you had to pick a colorway, or if you were inspired by another Legend 8 colorway, what would you do?
Okay, so this is basically a Legend boot I'm building right now.
It is. I didn't want to.
Most of the launches of the most recent Legends have been a white platinum colorway, where it's like you have a white base and then you have silver elements. If you look at at least the 8, 9, and then 10, they had that model that came out a little bit later. I still will say that model should have been the launch. I'm trying to remember what the prototype. The Tampa Legend 10 prototype.
The whiteout one. The whiteout.
Yeah. I will say that was probably supposed to be the launch colorway.
100%. I mean, look at the name.
But because of the Women's World Cup, I think they went with that orange model instead. So I would go along the lines of something like that.
Okay.
Kind of like a white with like a platinum style. Just looks clean. It's gonna get dirty in 5 seconds, but it looks so clean out of the box.
I like how you were worried about my Allegria leather earlier getting dirty, and you went with a crispy white out boot.
Look, but this is treated leather, people. Okay, this is not the the Montebalunas, which just like they look good out of the box, and then you play them in the rain, and you're staffed. Like, it's
Yeah.
over.
I guess too, like during my men's season, when it was raining towards the end of the season, I didn't wear my Legends 9 MIs because I was like, I'm not ruining these.
Yeah.
And I have another pair
Because you're
in
smart.
the box, but I'm just like, these are gonna get trashed. But then I pulled out my Predator remakes, my all white David Beckham ones, and absolutely obliterated those.
Yeah.
Okay, so also one thing I didn't ask you, we're gonna roll back a little bit. With the leather in the toe box, do you care what kind of leather? Do you want kangaroo? Do you want the Allegria, calfskin, Taurus?
Taurus.
Oh, I don't
Yes.
know what else. Whoever else
Real
uses
hard,
whatever
I'm
brand.
I'm hardcore Taurus, bro. No, I'd go kangaroo.
Just good old kangaroo leather.
Good old kangaroo. Maybe kind of like a Mizuno style, like thinner
Okay.
kangaroo. I know I've tried. It's the Indonesia model, but I've tried the Mizuno Neo 4 in the turf.
Okay.
And that was
Is that the
pretty
Uthro
cool.
one, right? Yeah, the
That's
beta is
the
the
Uthro one.
regular. Or the
Yeah.
knit one. Okay.
Yeah. So something along the lines of that, just like
Okay.
a thinner material. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you're just going for basically a pure whiteout boot.
I mean, Tiger can't change his stripes, bro. It's just I'm
You
too
don't even have
old.
stripes. You're just solid white.
I'm too old to go back now, dude. There's white tigers, man. Come on.
Okay. I get it. Yeah.
What,
Okay, so mine is way more over the top, just flashy. And I'm the most boring player. I basically play a glorified 8/6 in the midfield or right back. But so the base that I went with was the CR7 pinstripe on his Superfly 3. You remember it was the right half of the boots were a thin pinstripe and the left were the thick.
Yes.
Dude, I love that boot. That's besides maybe the Galaxy one, that I think that's my favorite colorway.
I bet
I
you like
just
to wear.
loved how different it was.
Were you one of those guys that wore the Puma speed boots where one was pink and one was yellow? Like your left foot was, Puma did.
Okay, we're gonna roll back the years a little bit, but I did something similar, and I had Vapor 9s. Okay, and I bought the black stealth pack that had pink accents, and then I bought the white reflective pack with the green accents, and I wore one white, one green, one black, because they were opposites, and I just have to be a douche.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And if you probably are you okay, we'll get to this in a second, but okay, go back to the pinstripes. Okay?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the reason I specifically and I like that one is because, like I said, if you look at I know there's pictures of it, but when you looked at him from the right side, it looked like he was wearing a set of boots, and then if you looked at him from the left side, it looked like he was wearing a different set.
Yeah.
Which is where the Superfly 5, side note, they totally messed that up, because the Superfly 5 and the Vapor 11, they should have done that too. Instead of doing pink on the outside and red on the inside, they should have done that split. Okay, anyways, so I'm going to do the pinstripes, okay?
Yeah.
So pinstripe boots, have that in your brain, but I'm going to make them super, super sparkly like the Superfly 4 Galas and the Silverwares. So I just want them over the top.
My God.
Yeah. And then I would just do a super sparkly silver base. And then instead of the dark blue pinstripes he had, I'd do black, sparkly black. And then I replaced the pink on the boot with the it was a chrome blue swoosh that he had on his Melor boots.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I do for the pink. So just the most gaudy boot possible.
The most gaudy CR7 boot
Yes.
you could ever think of. What about your rubber elements? Are the rubber elements a certain color?
So, I mean, the rubber elements are going to be massive. So honestly, based on the colorways I have, I might just make the rubber elements black.
Okay.
Because
A little
to be
bit
honest, when I picked that colorway, I had that
subtlety
in mind before I added the elements, and I kind of forgot about the elements. But yeah. I think just a black, god awful black rubber elements, just all over the top.
Yeah, of course. My gosh, dude.
Yeah, dude. I
don't
know,
know,
and I'm
I don't know if I'd
not
wanna
that
look at
kind of
your
guy.
boots.
Dude, they sound awful. Reading it out loud now, I'm oh god, I think I fucked up.
Yeah, you'd need almost like two pairs of your boots. One would
Oh
be like
yeah,
this super gaudy boot that you just kind of have on your shelf, and then the others you'd actually play in, right?
yeah. Like the one pair I don't play with, like in my brain, it'd be like you open a door to a room. They're in a glass box dead center. You open the door, a light shines on them. Nobody ever
Yeah.
touches them. You just look at them for a minute and then you close it and just let them go back.
I think a lot of people they'll buy these boots, right? Sorry, not to go off on another tangent. This is what the show's about. It's going
It's
off
what
on
the show's
tangents.
about. Just talking about boots.
It's our second episode, but this is the core of the show right here. So a lot of people, collectors, are always kind of afraid of wearing their boots. They're like, I'm going to get these. I might wear them one time, just to test them out, and I'm going to put them in here in a little bit. I'm the opposite. I will buy a pair. I don't care. I think that's why I like white boots, because I don't care if I get them dirty or not. It's actually kind of nice because you look like less of a douchebag after like that's the guy that always gets new boots, but they're white. So after like a game or two, you're like, were those new, or has he had those for like 6 months? Like nobody cares.
Yeah. See, okay, I'm similar to an extent. Like certain boots I will buy two of just because I want to have a pair in the future that is just nice and put away for either my collection or if my sons ever decide to play football and they fit my foot exactly, they can wear them. But like, but it also comes down to a deal too. So like the Predator Absolute, the white remix, the David Beckham ones. Okay, I have two pairs of those. One stays in the box, one gets worn because I absolutely love that boot. I found them on a good deal, so I didn't mind buying two pairs. But like, same with my Legend 8 Legend 9 MIs, the Montebalunas. I have one pair that's still put away in a soccer.com bag.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have. So I did have two pairs of Montebalunas, and then I tore my first pair up so fast. I was like, I don't think I can go through this again. I don't think. So I ended up selling the second pair.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, see, sometimes, and like I said, like some boots, it's funny too, because some boots I'm like, oh yeah. Like I bought two 99 leathers. I have two of them. And I like that boot a lot, and I thought that boot might be more of like a, hey, if somebody really wants it, it's really sought after, I don't mind letting it go, no big deal. But nobody really cares about that boot.
That's a weird one. It kind of came and went.
Yeah.
And nobody ever talks about it anymore.
And the release was super weird. We talked about like, I remember, where did we get our first pair? We got soccer?
We got soccer.
Yeah, we got them randomly.
And
then
we thought we were going to be just studs because
we did.
Nobody else had them.
No, and we did nothing content-wise.
Yeah.
Like nothing. But I remember
we didn't have this.
Singapore, Singapore, Tokyo Football already had a pair. So they had a ton. Then we got soccer. And then like, I think it was like another month later, soccer.com randomly got them. And then like Adidas in the Middle East had them. And then Adidas in America finally got them. That was just a weird, like that's a boot that it seems like somebody got fired that was over that boot. And it just kind of got lost in the sauce. And finally Adidas like, just throw it out. Who cares?
Absolutely. Well, there was that. I went back to that kangaroo leather thing, man, where people they had that boot, and then they were like, "Hey, this is the Copa Pure. This is calfskin leather at the toe, and we're gonna kind of stick to this." And then Nike made their announcement that, "Hey, we're not gonna have kangaroo leather in 2023." Which, by the way, it's 2024, and I'm pretty sure they're still selling Premiers. So I don't know how accurate that actually was. But then, because that boot was slated for October, if I remember correctly. October of 2020. What year was that? 2022? No.
Jeez, has it been that long?
No way.
No, it had to have been.
It had to have been. It had
Has
to
it
have been
been that
2022.
long? Let me think. It had to have been October of 2022.
We need some writings.
Yeah, because it was before the World Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, it had to have been. Wow.
Yeah.
Over a year.
I'm telling
Jesus.
you, it's nuts. It's nuts. And so that was probably sitting on every retailer's shelf.
Yeah. Just collecting dust.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few questions for you about your Franken boot. I know you mainly kind of redesigned a Legend 8, but you didn't really use anything outside of the main, Adidas and Nike, or Nike, however you want to say it. You didn't use Puma. You did the sole plate from Mizuno. New Balance, you didn't use too much.
Oh, you know what? I think I have it written down. I didn't actually mention this, but my knit collar would be similar to the Tequila because
The low or the high?
the low.
Okay.
The New Balance is killing it with their knit. And if you put on a Furon, one of the new Furon V7, is it V7?
Yeah.
That we're on now. It's so comfortable. It's so comfortable. I would argue that New Balance's knit is more comfortable than Nike's right now, which is
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's different. It almost feels not that it feels lighter. It just something about it.
It's just
I don't know.
different.
It's just different. Yeah.
Okay, but what steered you away from using, like, I don't know, anything Puma, for example?
So with Puma, going back from the last podcast, their most popular model right now is the Future Ultimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a good boot. I do. I don't like. For some reason their stud length has been long for a while. Like
Mhm.
even on, if you remember the Puma King Platinum conical studs, super long.
Oh, yeah.
Future, even when they weren't as aggressive as they are now, super long. So it's kind of like if you're not playing on more of thicker grass, like more muddy surfaces, like I just not a huge fan of the sole plate for one. They haven't really been killing it with the King recently. Like the heel, it's a good boot, but the heel isn't there. I will say the Lockdown and the Ultimate is awesome.
The
but
Ultra?
I prefer. What did I say? Yeah,
You
the
just said
Future,
Ultimate.
Future.
Okay.
Because everything's the Ultimate now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then their speed boot, I tried. Maybe not this most recent one because they just changed it again. I feel like they're always changing it. It's pretty decent, but there's just nothing from that brand that is really calling out to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What about you?
I mean, for the most part, like, Puma to me has always been kind of like the little brother brand. Like, they try their own things and they're kind of a little out there, but for the most part, they just kind of tweak, I feel like, what the other main two do. So for me personally, the only Puma boot that I even kind of liked was the Evo Power 1.2, I think.
Well, see, and here's the psychological problem that you just had right now, which is the same thing I was going through, is they chop and change so much, even within their own generations, and they'll say, this is the, 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, ultra, ultimate, and then this most recent one, I think, is going to be called the Future 7 and I just feel like with that brand, my brain gets so muddled, and I can't even think about where they are or what the newest changes are. Sorry, but go ahead. You go.
No. I mean, those are great points because I know we kind of pointed it out in the last episode, but Puma, I feel like, is the most notorious for literally changing the most minimal thing and being like, this is a new model. And 99% of the time, everybody's like, I mean, what's different between this Ultra and the last Ultra, really? Everybody hates both of them. They don't look any different. There's no different technology.
Yeah, for their speed model, nothing. For the Future Ultimate, that thing looks not completely different, but man, that thing looks aesthetic. Okay, let's just get into this real quick. I wasn't planning on getting into this.
No, it's okay.
We're here.
We're already here. Let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Future 7 Ultimate.
Is this the one with the Y, like
the
down,
Y,
like the power tape?
The power tape was a little zigzag on the side.
Yeah.
And now we've got a nice little Y.
Yeah.
Right on the upper of the boot. Aesthetically, not a fan.
Yeah, same.
Maybe if you put it on, it does miracles for your feet. But aesthetically, I like the zigzag better.
I don't even like the zip. I don't like that. I think that's the problem. I just look at most of their boots, and I'm like, these are ugly. And I feel like that plays a huge part into what, especially people like me and you, like boot enthusiasts and collectors, wear. on top of, like, I know a lot of markets nowadays that it's aimed at kids. You know what I mean? That's why you get a lot of bright colors all the time. You get like one white out, one black out. But I just feel like Puma's boots are ugly.
Yeah, I would agree with you because that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea of that those future models is that you can make the zigzag tape one color, and then you can make the upper one color, and then you can actually make like the Puma Cat a different color, and then you can even make the left boot a color and the right boot. You know, it's all just in your face, multiple colored nonsense, and I'm like, just make a good boot. Just
Yeah.
you know, you don't have to sway me with the aesthetic of a boot. Just make it comfortable, put it on a nice, solid sole plate, and we'll wear it.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing is like, I would say that one big thing that really has caught my eye as of late, as we're talking about this, is, with the Predator 30, right? So with the Predator 30, Adidas is finally like, all right, we hear you guys, you want a tongue, here's a tongue. We still have laceless for everybody, we still have a regular U-throat tongue for, modern people, but for old guys like us, they're like, here's a tongue. And so everybody's like, okay, perfect. Like, you've done it? Okay, cool. Now just make white, black, and red. Like, classic Predator will be golden. And Adidas was like, okay, we'll do that, but instead of red, we're going to do a bright orange. And instead of white, we're going to do highlighter yellow.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, why? Why?
Why?
You look at the Mania, dude, and again, this is a whole rabbit hole we could go down. But the Mania doesn't have that many colorways, but everybody remembers all of them.
Mm-hmm.
The black, white, red, the reds, the lunars, the champagnes, the blue Japan blues, and then the gunmetals. Like, I just named all of them, and that boot was around for, what, 2 years? Meanwhile, the Puma Future, I can't even name half of them, and they were around for 6 months.
Yeah, dude, there's so many. It just, like, your brain just melts. Your brain literally melts thinking about some of those colorways. And some look cool. I mean, the astronaut ones from Unisport, I would love a pair of those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
if they ever go on sale.
That's a good one.
If this ever gets out to Unisport, I would love a pair.
Same
Unisport. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
The Future, not the other one, the Ultra. I want the Future.
Yeah, not the Ultra. Yeah, the Future, please. But going back to your point on the Predators, there are like absolutely classic colorways that just stick in your brain, and most of them involve red, black, red, white, red. You can go back to some of the speaking of like OG boots, because it used to be like your OG leather boots, right? Were your Nike Tempo like Air Legend 1, 2, Tempo 3, and then you had like the Predators on the other end of it. In those colors, it was always like nice base, and then with your fold over tongues, you have a color, and then that's what your like Adidas stripes are. That's what your Nike swoosh is. It's just like, and that's it. And that's the era that I grew up in. So whenever you're blasting multiple colors or colors that don't really mesh together, to me, it's like, I'll wait for something else. Yeah, I would wonder. I would love to see which colorways sell the most.
Yeah, that's true. But I think also, too, I mean, to our point that we're talking about, too, is when it comes to, like, let's say, for example, Nike, right? And let's just use the Mercurial because I feel like that's generally the most popular boot on the market.
Right.
I would like to look at not only which colorway sell the most, but which model. So, like, the Elite, the Pro, the Academy, and the Club. Because I want to see if kids literally dominate the market like these brands kind of portray, or if it is genuine people like me and you, like grown men who have some money that we can spend and get high-end boots.
I think that, and this is just from my experience posting videos, not the Peak Ready pack, not the bluish purplish one, but the one before that, which not very clever name, was was it the Ready? It was either the Peak pack or the Ready pack. I can't remember. They combined Peak Ready, the white with the black stripe, the swoosh on the top. When they basically redid it from going to the side to the top, that one might be one of the most popular ones. That's one of my most popular videos.
Oh,
is that
one? Yeah, is that the one with the red accent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. See,
yeah, the Airs in red.
Yeah.
And then I think the swoosh is black.
And I always think that there are some outliers, like of certain colorways, like is it the Peak Ready that has like the turquoise, the white, and the black? Like I think that the GX is like out of this world on that pack.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, especially the GX Low just looks so good.
So good.
But the Merc, honestly the Luna and the Tiempo I think looks the worst. Because again, like when I think of a Tiempo, and I think that the 10 suffers this just because of the name, but I just think of like a more toned down kind of almost blandish boot. Yeah. And that's okay. Like not everything has to pop.
Right. And you'll get people that buy those boots. Like you'll get people our age that buy the boots. You can have like these, because a lot there's people even older than us that I play with. They're like, I just want it in black, and I'm like, that's fine. That's how it all used to be. Like I remember nobody had, like I remember the first time I ever saw a guy, one of my friends wear like a silver pair of Mercurials, and I was like, what is that? Like you can buy like boots in a different color than them. My parents always just bought me like black Adidas or Nike or whatever.
Yeah. I definitely remember that too. Like you said, I remember my dad had a pair of old Tiempos, and they were pretty much black, white Nike swoosh, and I think they had like a blue tongue, and it was like, whoa. Like my mind was like, wow. And then, now they're doing pink with purple. Yeah.
Yeah, now you're just completely just acclimated to it and just whatever.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. But all right, bro. Well, I think that's all for my Franken boot. I think that's all for yours as well.
Yeah. I literally don't think we could come up with any more. I mean, your boot was so bright, dude. It's just, like in my head. I don't know if I appreciate all the stuff you put into yours, but I don't think I'd actually want to see it in real life just because of the aesthetics. But
I think, and it's funny too. Like I said, after reading it out loud, I was like, I think I've made a mistake, because now I'm thinking about it. Like if I saw those on the shelf, I'd be like, God, who the hell is buying those?
They'd have to be on their own shelf because you couldn't put those next to anything.
No, like I said, glass box, bro. It comes back to the glass box.
There you go.
But all right, dude. Well, this was a good episode. I enjoyed it. Yeah. If you guys have a Franken boot that you want to leave in the comments below, please do it. We would love to see and compare. I think that's the most fun part about all this.
Yeah. All right, man.
Plug your socials, bro, before we get out of here.
You can find me. I'm Colby. You can find me at Kicking It with Colbs on Instagram, as well as Kicking It with Colbs on YouTube.
Very nice. I am Justin. I'm at Texas Cleat Collector on Instagram. I don't YouTube. Yeah, that's it. But we will be back later. I think we're gonna do another episode later this week. I think we're gonna try to do 2, like more of a fun one, and then more of like a serious topic one that we decide to talk. I mean, what's serious about boots? But
it's all serious, man. It's no fun and games here, dude.
All right, bro. Well, you guys have a good night, Colby. As always, it's a pleasure, man.
All right, appreciate it. You too.